now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Epic. I forgot my other mic don't work on Skype. Onward. Keep powder dry and neck swivel.
Good morning, TFR.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. What's wrong with you? By thinking, you're thinking a thought or two. The sun's out, it's fun's out. Let's stop the day.
Good morning, Truth Frequency Radio. You are listening to the Ironworx. My name is Josh Corey. I am joined this morning by my good friend and my co-host, one Mr. Walter Johnson. Walt, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, or should I say, oi, oi, oi. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, evening, whatever you're doing. I hope you're having a great one. It's going to be an amazing Flat Friday here. We are pumped up. We are excited. If that music didn't get you ready for a day, I don't know what will. Josh, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm better than I deserve, Walt. Better than I deserve. I am really looking forward to this morning's episode. I think it's going to be good.
It definitely should be. If it's not, well, it'll be our fault, as always. We have a nice little group waiting for us in chat. Good morning there to Liz. I see Alan is back. Welcome back, Alan. We're glad to have you again, friend. Hilarious Nise, welcome. Intrigued newcomer. I hope you stay intrigued. We're excited. We have an amazing guest. Usually we throw a little lettuce your way or talk about something interesting in the world, but I really can't think of anything more interesting than our current guest, Martin Liedtke, sir, flat earth British mud flood historian extraordinaire. I'll stop blowing smoke, sir. Welcome to the Ironworx. We're so glad to have you.
Good morning, gentlemen. Walt, Josh, Adam. Morning, many blessings to you. That was epic. Starting the day with a bit of Sham 69. I'll
right.
do better. wow. I got Jimmy Percy's autograph in my drawer over there.
Oh,
My
that's
teacher
amazing.
once got it for me. She was actually going out with him.
That's
English teacher. Yeah. They were playing Cardiff, and she hitched up with him, and she said that I was one of the only skinheads in the school at the time. And she knew I was like mad for sham. Everything in my life was sham. I had sham on my t-shirt. I had sham on the back of my jacket. Persian voice, man. It was the days. Best days ever.
Well, I see you noticed, and I missed it completely. Good morning, Adam. Glad to have you with us for a change, sir.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. I'll just type in there to Liz. A promise is a promise. And
is this live, this show, so I can actually watch it happening? Is it on, it's not on Iron Realm?
Oh, no, sir. We are on Truth Frequency Radio this morning.
Awesome. I love this show.
TFRlive.com/chat. It should set you up to go to the live chat if you want to watch, or you can actually sign up for the chat account and participate if you so desire.
Hop in there. It's active. They're crazy. We love them. That's our family. We call them here at the Ironworx. So, but yes, welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. You have hit a landmark of epic proportions yourself there over on your channel, man. What's the big number you're at right now?
Just coming up to 10,500 subscribers.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Congrats, my friend. Congrats. It couldn't be more well-deserved and earned. You are just nailing it, mashing it, smashing it.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I will always keep saying this, it's not a solo thing at all. I just put my neck out and I do like the verbal bit, and I just accumulate what everyone brings me in, basically. These libraries have been handed to me. I found other libraries, and I've just got a good eye for it. I just, I don't see anything really special in what I do. I just think that I'm just probably a good detective. And this puzzle is the puzzle of puzzles. And I just find myself really, I can't think of anything else in my life, guys. I was up till 5 o'clock last night working out something else that come my way. On the spin-off of last night's video concerning parasitical invasion of our bodies. And I found an old text. I thought it was mind-blowing from the 1600s, early 1700s, which stated that there was a worm or a serpent living in the left ventricle of the human heart, and an entire book on the theses and the subject. And do you know what? It was really, really persuasive. And then I got a comment this morning of a lady who lives in Thailand, said, that's common knowledge here. If you're a bad person in Thailand, they say you have a worm in your heart. I thought, wow. Yeah, I know. I was just in my comments before the show, absolutely blistering my comments today, some of the ideas. So this is how it works. They come through with ideas. I sort of scrutinize what's going to be more useful to, I suppose, humanity. But I have made, a few like groundbreaking discoveries myself. But that was just from, all of us. I do real-time research, so when I discover something, I discuss it with everyone in a video. They come back in comments and we work it out. That's how Antiquitech was worked out. Atmospheric electricity in antiquity. I was studying these atlases called the Lied-Van der Haar atlases, which show an alternative chronology and an alternative history. They can be believed. That's my impression anyway. The best of what our sources are, right?
Right.
And they show a ridiculous abundance of churches, which we know now are church devices, church machines, on all cities of the world. Just a profusion of these really high spires. So I thought, there's something really weird going on with that. Does every street need about 5 churches? So I zoomed in and I noticed every one of them had something on the roof. And it all span off from there. It took about a year of unfolding, and now we even know how they work with resonators. It's all been unfolded since. But, I accidentally stumbled upon this by just wondering, could they have had atmospheric electricity in the past? And now, through documentation, etc., proved it probably beyond a shadow of a doubt that they definitely had it as far back as you can remember. Nothing new under the sun. Fact.
Right. Well, the whole heart thing that you were just talking about, I think it was Ayurvedic medicine that I just realized and discovered the heart is just a huge, big, knotted muscle. It doesn't technically have the chambers that Western medicine says it has, and that whole 9 yards. So this one thing has broken my mind. I'm a big biology major and student. That's my thing too. So I'll be digging into that book. I want to find that link next time you have a minute. Throw it my way.
The link is in the show notes from my last video.
I'll check it out.
The book anyway, at hand. But yeah, no, it threw me because, it was seen by my studies that something really strange happened on this place. During the 16th and the 1700s, it would seem that there's like this death cult plain white. No matter where you are in this place, there's a death cult going on. All the same symbology, all the same controllers, everything identical. The whole place. It's like, how can everyone miss this? The same architecture. So the habits are off the radar. They are not us. And it's only at max 200 to 300 years ago. How can this be, guys? How can this be? It's just really throws me, that bit, how they are so disconnected to us. It seems that we've gone backwards, or we're working off a different fundamental of reality. But back to this parasitical thing, it would seem that people at some stage go batshit crazy. And I've studied why that could be. So I've come up with comets passing by seem to cause atmospheric disturbance, which I've got a few ancient documents to say that it causes some sorts of insanities, okay, or alterations in people's behaviour through conditions in the atmosphere or atmosphere. And
Atmoplane is my favorite.
So, and then I juggled with controller intervention, as in a mixture of it all, chemtrails, the foods, and vibrational qualities in sort of like 5G, but at a lower frequency, so we can't really pick up on it, and they could be playing this at any time. I hear a hum here in Cardiff, okay? And I've heard it since about the mid-70s. And funnily enough, if you look into it online, that's when they say it originated. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and it will drive you insane. It is underlighting everything. I used to think it was the electric outside. I used to think it was a local power substation, but I'm not near one anymore, so it's not that. Still hear it. It's under everything. It's really, really strange. So they could have been doing something all along those lines in antiquity. Now, these devices, these church machines, they were working on a principle of, I suppose, somatic principles, where they seem, because each window is set at a different frequency, like 432, that they were emanating some sort of frequency into the ether outside the buildings. So we surmise, well, that could be for the benefit of humanity, i.e. growing vegetables, massive, food massive, and people doing really well. But that's not what the depictions show. They show an utterly destroyed world. They show everything inundated in mud. So something's happened. So we're juggling with the idea, could Antiquitech actually gone wrong, and caused a ginormous sort of somatic wave through this place, because nowhere has escaped. This is the weird thing about mud flood, guys. Somebody said to me, what is the whole place? It's like, yeah. Well, it can't be. What about Easter Island? A tiny dot in the Pacific. It's like, yeah, especially Easter Island. The Moe are all buried up to their necks, aren't they?
Right.
It's like, wow, yeah, they are. So were they possibly ground level at some stage? Oh, God, yeah. Except for the ones they put on the coast on these concrete walls, but they're recent. So it doesn't seem that anywhere has escaped these events. So I suppose the next stage then was to pinpoint the last one, which looks like it's the early 19th century, around the 1811 through to 1816 mark, from New Madrid, Missouri events through to Tambora. So this was right across the plain. Millions, God, I can't even calculate what happened to this place, but it was famine. They covered it up with stories like the cholera epidemic, the I suppose potato famine of Ireland, and that killed 3.5 million in itself. So everybody died. So the place went to shit, and they covered it up from our reality. And I think maybe with reason, but considering what they got up to and what they did, I'm not surprised they covered up the past. They don't. They wouldn't want the truth coming out. It's a horrible. There's been one reset when everything was golden. It was a golden era, and I don't think it was long ago. I really, really don't. I think it was not long ago in the past. I think it was destroyed. You know, evidence is showing that this flood, or this deluge that they speak about in the Bible, was not in the vast distances of time. I'm juggling whether we're looking at the Renaissance period, aka Middle Ages, 1500s, for some sort of, because these buildings are still around, and we can witness them being restorated and still existing today, like the Colosseum in Rome. This short time later. Now, when I first set eyes personally on the Colosseum, I swear to God, this was my first thought, and I was not into this field. I was only a young man in the merchant navy. I thought, no way, no fucking way. That was my exact thoughts. That has been there 2,000 years. That was my exact thoughts. I just had an instinct that this place that I was looking at was not that old, and neither was this civilization. And then I noticed that no matter what city you were in my country, the buildings in the city centres are a similar architecture, and they only go back to a certain period, and there's nothing before. So we haven't got like a profusion of 1,600 buildings in our city. Why is that? When it's not that vast distance ago. We should have some. But no, all we got is cathedrals and churches, machines, which basically got taken over by an institution, turned into a house where you've got to go in there to worship the Creator for some unusual reason, because they tell you that you must. But they weren't. They were 100% devices, and they did more than basically create through architectural quality a resonance that was a cymatic wave that you could pump out. But I think they were also drawing electrostatic charging through the resonators and the aerials and strange stone obelisks that are all raising off these unbelievable, mind-blowing devices all over the world, which are called cathedrals. It's just a mind-blowing subject. Many spectrums, subject. It's just so many. It's reaching out in all different directions. It's not mud flood alone. Although that's
it's all connected, right. When I saw the aerial views of these obelisks and these city squares, and you think about circuitry and computer boards, and I mean, it's like, duh, it's right there in your face. I mean, they hide this stuff. It's all hidden in our face. That's what's amazing, is how all of this has been right there.
Once you get a feel for it, it really not freaks you out, but you really feel it. I'll explain what I mean. Now, in the Victorian era, I put out a video called The Iron Tech Mystery, and it seems that we had very intricate ironworks, as in railings, in the Victorian period. If you take photographs of these railings, you can literally match them with Solomon sigils. Now, that would mean that they're putting sigils which are actually electrical circuitry for piezoelectric forces, by the way, which is freaky as hell. And the names for demons and angels, they place these into railings in antiquity. Now, that's very nefarious, people. So they're putting something through the ether, okay, and it's passing through sigils into the everyday streets. Oh, that's very, very sinister. But then it all disappears. So I was surmising whether it was some sort of energy transference, because wrought iron.
You were freaking me out. I walk a lot in the town I live in. I'm in South Louisiana. I live in an old town, and there's like cemetery I live in has tombstones from the 1700s, some of them. And as I walk by these iron, like some of it's sectioned off in this ancient iron railing, and there's weird things swirled at the top of the rails. There's weird things in the middle of the rails. I'm going to have to go pay more attention to that now. And it always freaks me out when I walk through that little area.
It will. There's some still existing in my city. There's one in the Central Market, and I literally pinpointed a Solomon seal in there. I thought, why would they do something like that? You know, these are magic spells. You can't even look at these things for long. Is the truth, right? I wouldn't advise it to people. There's something up with them. We don't know what the language is. We don't know who the creators of this language are, this ancient sigil language, and where they turned up. I got a book of ancient Solomon sigils, and they are 100% out of a computer. They are electrical components from antiquity, guys. Now, these cities that Piranesi was drawing in, like I said, the circuitry cities, like literally motherboards are planned out in cities, guys. You can literally put your motherboard of a computer next to this picture and they match complete. It just blows your mind. Even heatsink. It's just what? So I'm thinking that the whole city, through architectural quality, etc., atmospheric gathering, with some sort of hubs like I don't know, like Machine City in the Matrix, maybe for the whole plane. You know, like you could have mother hubs, you know, getting the energy out, free energy maybe to the whole place in antiquity. That's what I feel. And the whole place was tinged. The whole bigger story to it all, I suppose, is energy weapons. So it's never been nukes. Never been nukes. That's just devil's work. Anything the reverse of, like the opposite of explosion, is implosion. It's the reverse. Is their doing. So it's not. But they have got energy weapons, direct energy weapons. This, I feel, is definitely true because I know how they work. You know, the implosion technique, you can study nukes all your life in quantum mechanics, but you're only going to bang your head on the wall with absurdities and non-tangibles. But energy weapons, well, flashets, I've got one in my kitchen. There's a magnetron in my microwave. It's taken out and used. It melts metal out my microwave.
Mark,
so they're not difficult to make, flashets.
Have you seen those Russian lads?
Yeah, man, blew my mind. John Levy's video. Yeah, man, blew my mind. But if it's that easy, you know, melting metal, exploding stuff, like, it's just the most... I'm glad I don't use my microwave much, but yeah, that easy to make, Adam. I know. So that exists. We can safely say that they got that, and then we've pinpointed that they had them in antiquity. Fascists. We pinpointed the fascists, which are all them, the powers that should not be, are using it as an emblem. So that's the Nazis, Mussolini, the American Congress, the British Parliament, the police, all of them will use the fascists as their symbol, which is not a symbol, which is an energy weapon. The power that gives them control. Power, I think, gives Britain, this tiny little Britain rock, all of this almighty power in this place. How this little island can dictate so much has always bugged me. So I thought, well, it can't be the people. All right, we're pissy. You know, we got to wait for buses and we get angry. Well, I suppose we are pretty mental and brave, but really? Did we do all that? The British Empire, everything else? It's just, knowing British like I did, I've always had suspicions about that one, but it seems we got this power in this realm. So I think it's down to energy weapons. I think that's the stalemate that you can't really mess when you've got to say about this scepter, this sceptered isle. I think she says that because I think that's what it literally means. This isle at some stage has been sceptered with an energy weapon. You've got vitrified forts in Scotland that have been melted. The whole island, by the way, is called Great Britain because great means rock or prominent. So that's why we're called, not because we've got a great country, it's a rock, because we're on a granite island. The Britain's based on granite, which is amazing for conducting electricity, so I hear. So that's a bit of a key. So I'm not sure if Britain is some sort of more than just a hub for some sort of energy weapon. I think it might be maybe the rock, but we're on more to it, you know? This scepter dial. I think there's a bit of a clue. And living in her realm. I think there's a clue there too.
Hey, Martin, we got a couple minutes before we hit our first break. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, all your good details and things like that?
Sorry? I missed that.
Just let everybody know your details, your YouTube channel, all the places they can find you.
Yeah, Flat Earth British. If you just put that into the description, into the bar, you should be able to see me. Or Martin Liedtke, my channel name goes by. So I just put Flat Earth British in. That's all the audience and all the guys. But that is me as well, I suppose. And I got a secondary channel as well, but I just do mirroring and that. But you can get through to me on martinliedtke7@gmail.com. But that's it. I don't really bother with my Facebook, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
we understand.
I've never really been a fan of Facebook. I don't like that guy who owns it, I don't
But
think that was...
he's still
we were
human.
discussing him last night, Bill Gates. I don't think that was actually... I think he's just another socially engineered player. I don't think he got the intelligence to do all of what was said to be done. I think he's probably just taken somebody else's ideas, like a lot of them do. Or he's just a spokesman. I don't think he's what they say he is. It just doesn't ring true with me, especially with Bill Gates.
There's one guy in history that I'd like to ask your opinion on that I think is due to the latest reset, and he's part of the hiding of all this technosmia, and that's Tesla. And I to me, he's again somebody that we've been painted as some fantastic thing for our future. But to me, he's the nail in the coffin where they hide the old way of dealing with electricity and bring in the news type, and he's the one that condemns it, that kind of technology as old and inefficient and not worth looking at. And
100% agree. Yeah, he's their man, I would say. Look, as far as I'm concerned, this is how this thing works, this stage show Earth, okay, is that if it's in the social paradigm, aka for like mass digestion, it will be from them. Okay, it will be socially engineered. Now, they very rarely have anything that shifts the paradigm independent of their control. So
well, they definitely did it in a very clever way. I dug into a lot of deep things when I was in high school and never really uncovered anything about Tesla until years after I was out of school. So the way they hit it for us to find it as a...
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
Good morning.
Welcome back for the second half of hour number 1 right here on the Ironworx. We are joined this morning by Martin Liedtke, Flat Earth British, with an absolutely fascinating talk thus far. So I am going to shut the hell up, let Martin jump right back into it so that I can keep learning. This is absolutely fascinating, Martin. Thank you so much again for joining us, by the way, this morning.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. Awesome to be with brothers. It's not a bad morning, actually, except it just clouded over. I think it might rain. Adam's been out, so he's got rain on his window, so I think it's good.
You're having a better breakfast than me there, Martin.
Yeah. No, this subject is just taking off. It's something everybody can get involved with. Is tangible. It's something you can get out with your mobile phone, and literally once the penny drops of all these sunken buildings with identical architecture in every city and town on earth, everyone starts clicking their cameras. And it's just a fascinating subject. It is. And like I said, guys, it's just how many angles to it, you know? And of course, the shape of the Earth just fell perfectly into place as well with it all. Because that is big.
I wanted to ask you about that bit more. For me, as a flat earther, that's kind of the thing that I had this interest before flat Earth in terms of the flamenco work, etc., with regards to alternative histories. But as we've looked at it more and more, and as you're alluding to there, the resetting of the free energy that we seem to have, it does seem to be the paradigm we've been given. Certainly can't be any earlier than the Elizabethan period, if we understand it, if that ever existed. And it does appear almost like the final removal of free energy and the final kind of placings fits into this foundling time where, you know, the Oliver Twist kind of cities where they're full of these children that we just subconsciously know is wrong, but accept because they've done a musical about it, so it must be okay. And I just wonder if you could. So for me, that's the kind of point where it relates back to flat Earth, because this is the period. The reality is the ball wasn't accepted for all this time. It's not until this early 1800s, the Napoleonic kind of the stuff that's painted as Napoleon's wars, I think, is the point where they bring in the paradigm that we all believe now, and finally sweep away the remnants of the old world and paint it as ancient Greece.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I would say that the Tudors, Henry, and the Virgin Queen, I would say are not really there. I've been at Hampton Court. It's made in red London brick. And it looks like it's been there not long for a 500-year-old building. And then the big Yahoo, when they find Henry VIII's flagship at the bottom of the Solent, and they bring it up the Mary Rose, and they unveil all of these treasures, the first longbows ever to be, found in history to prove the Battle of Agincourt actually really happened with Henry V. This in Shakespeare, and it all ties in for these, discoveries. So I thought, no, that's just them just dishing this out. So, forget the Tudors, and I'm just thinking, this is a lot more recent, all of it. But this strange crossover that I keep finding constantly, every single day almost, with styles and fashions, as in the Romans crossed with people from the Middle Era. It's just, how can you have people in clothes from the 1600s with a Roman soldier, emblems, etc., from the Roman or Greek world? It's just, what are they thinking? Is this a school of thought, or is there a crossover? Or are the two peoples actually existing at the same time? Last night then, in an old Kirchner book from German woodcuts, I found a depiction of Babylon, and it says 1672 over the door. Now, did they put that in just to say, oh no, we made this depiction in 1672, or are they saying that the Tower of Babel existed in 1672? Could it really be that recent a flood, a deluge, and could it really be that we're that recent of a survivor race? Because this world had just arrived in the 1800s, and it's always bugged me all my life, Adam, right? I was thinking, how come we've just invented everything in 1900? The television, the telephone, the motor car, the aeroplane. Do I need to go on? The whole of reality gets invented and instilled by the great expositions, which had cities destroyed to put them in place, and they get destroyed in turn. With this anomalous architecture is such a bigger story. And of course, the great expositions were all powered on free energy. I've got photographic collections of them going right back to the 1850 or 1855. So they're the earliest photographs, and they are using atmospheric there. They've got Tesla towers that everything is illuminated. Nothing is wired. Everything is wireless. So I think they take antiquity apart in buildings. Wherever it went wrong, I think that was maybe in the 1700s, because you can see old cathedrals have got windows blocked up, bricked up, and some attic windows, some of them are blocked up with brick. So I feel at some stage they've done it. I can't pinpoint when. I'm trying to do it through pictures because you can't really tell. Some 1700s depictions will show you that they're covered at that stage. Who built the star forts? Don't know. They found them. The survivor race, I've got a book. This one book I found, again, occurs to the library. He states we should make better use of these star forts and find out exactly what they do, man them, and use them. So, it's a friend of mine, excuse me. And they found them, like survivors had just stumbled into these unique things made out of super reinforced concrete, the best quality CAD granite stone. You can't move these things. And they go mega deep. They've got tunnel systems into them. Who's built them? We'll use them. So this is in like this early, around 1733. They find these things. So why are they finding things then? Why are they reverse engineering technasmia then? Because they're a survivor race, is why I'm thinking.
Another good one, Martin, that you've done loads of work on. And for those that don't know, history paints it for us that star forts were invented by some Italian bloke in the 1700s, and that's when they start building. It's hard with that bit of knowledge to see the few star forts in Europe and disagree with it. But the work that you've done, showing them all across the world, kind of proves that that's a complete impossibility for these things to.
I proved that's incorrect last night. I find an old atlas of voyages where they go to Borneo. Where they've just discovered in the place, and they just discovered in the world, the fleet turns up, the star forts in situ. They're not settled there, built a concrete star fort 100 years previous. The history narrative is they haven't been there before. And the book you're reading, we're just arriving. We're just going to go and subject the people to a miserable existence, which they do everywhere they land. And I'm not sure what is going on, but everything in all of these places is exactly the same. This strange death cult, these strange people all seem like, like a Mad Max film where everyone is just a wraith and a stray and a wanderer, and there's cannibalism going down, wars. It's just a most horrendous place at some stage in the near past, as recent as 300 years ago. There's people like a race of bald zombie-looking people occupying the whole of America. This is what I found last night, and I get reports like this morning, oh no, these occupy the whole place. You can find these in Australia, you can find these everywhere. This, like troglodyte, bald race, and they're white, they're bald, they don't actually look really human, they're all wrinkled up, they're terrible. But they occupy the whole antiquity. It's the most oddest thing. How can it be so recent, and how can it be so untangible if it's only that far ago? It could be 1 million years ago. That's what I mean. That's the freaky thing about this. When they find something in the modern day antiquity, like an antique dealer, like a Chippendale piece of furniture. Now, Chippendale goes into the millions. Why? Because they got a bit of furniture left over from the 1700s. Shouldn't there be stacks of furniture of that quality left over from the 1700s? Yeah, you find a Chippendale, it's auctioned for 10 mil. That should tell you that there's not a lot left from that era. And that is why this thing has got so much value, because everything has got destroyed. This is a fact. That, if you look at Piranesi, Giovanni Piranesi's art, he'll show you the mid-1700s, the world is utterly destroyed. I show another one, mind blower, the book of John Struves, a guy who went and sailed around this place in the late 1600s, and all he paints is ongoing events. Multiple volcanoes, multiple earthquakes, mud flows, all reported in this book, cities drowned in it. And it tells you all as he's going at each place in different continents. This is still ongoing. Now what happened, I can't even imagine, guys. But they have 100% covered this up.
I had sent you a link a few days back. I know you're super busy. It was this earthquake thing that happened. It was really weird, and it really not reported a lot and not noticed by the earthquake, like the people at the helm that should have seen it. Some earthquake enthusiast on Twitter happened to notice something in the waves. It was like 17 minutes apart, really weird, slow waves, not the sudden jerking like when plates snap and all these normal things. And then just like literally the day after, maybe 2 days later, they had this horrendous earthquake in Alaska. I have friends there that are going through just hellacious times right now with, the aftershocks, which as much as we hear about earthquakes, I had no idea they would have, 2,000, 2,500 aftershocks that would go on for weeks afterward. I had no clue. So yeah,
I might have seen that link actually. I did see a report maybe a week ago of some, basically a ripple or ripples.
Weird wave, right.
Plane. Is that what it was?
That was it. Yeah. Really weird, slow ripple wave they can't really explain. So in a lot of the ancient Native American here in America history, it's talked about the earth changes that happen in cycles, and that this is something, when the eagle awakens and all these things, when the white buffalo is born, that just happened. All these things are like pointing to these earth changes that are just a constant cycle. That's where the caveman idea came from, was the last time this all happened and we had to recover our civilization from it. That's one of the Native American historical things, if you dig deep enough, you can find. So I wonder if, I do see the energy weapon. I do see all that. It's just, I wonder how much of this is just a natural process that we're trying to figure out how to live through it, with all these underground bases and all these other things.
I know
exactly. And how much is us messing shit up,
Yeah. I seen a video yesterday with a beautiful analogy to point exactly what you're saying. And it showed, actually, it was some guy's father's obsession with the film, Space Oddity, in the beginning bit by Spielberg, where the monkeys,
I may have watched that video.
the megalith, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like many people have sort of struggled with what the symbology of it all means. He chucks the megalith up, it turns into a spaceship, but it's from that primeval instinct, like they say in, survivors on the floor, and then they see something out of their frame of reference. From a monkey to the wilderness to something with such edges and made by something that is out of their frame of reference. That must have been totally mind meld into these monkeys. One of them picks up a club and instantly gets more intelligent. So it's that deep for humanity that they're talking about. And I believe that's what's happening now. The spiritual ship is definitely underway. But the weird thing about it is it's accelerating quick. Nobody can deny it, okay? So that's going somewhere. That's going somewhere. And it's plain wide people awaking en masse. If it's not to the true shape of this place, then it is to the historical life and the government dialectics. And something deeper, a spiritual war that's going on. This eternal war between good and evil. But I see it as like parasitical forces, because you get these voices, don't you? These negative voices in your psyche, okay, in your subconscious, which keep niggling away, giving you bad advice. So why would you have something living in your psyche which is not your friend? So then I juggle with the idea, is it external causation, like parasitical spirits niggling away at your ear, bugging you? So I juggle with that and I sort of cancelled it. So whenever I heard that niggling voice telling me negative things, I'm cancelling, it's gone. And then things started to change. So I'm wondering if that's part of the process of awakening, is getting rid of this negativity, which is obviously them. Because that's where they want us, on a lower vibrational existence, not truly being who we are, being robbed again. And waking up to our true purpose in this realm, whatever that is. But I think it is uncovering. Really strange story, and nobody really expected any of it. I didn't. I never thought I would end up here on this story.
Well, I think they hide, again, this hiding it right there and showing it to us in plain sight. That movie, the kids' movie of all things, Monsters Incorporated, where these monsters are assigned to a child to create terror. The fear is then collected, empowers their fucking world. It powers their society. That's how they power their whole society, is off the energy that these monsters create in these children as they're assigned literally to them. It's shown to us right there in our faces every, in a kid's movie.
Creating with thoughts. Look, what thoughts are things. Once they're produced, they're things. Once you say things in a thought and it's out there in the ether, this is going to happen. Okay, so they know this. And when it comes to people, Well, they have bread and circuses, don't they? They cram them all in stadiums, 80 strong with their negative down vibrational stuff and this brainwashing technique. The whole place is affected by it. And there's more going on in stadiums. There's more going on if it's negative energy gathering for these entities, or there's something deeper and more nefarious we may not understand. Like, a mass. Well, how do you get a load of people in one place at one time to do something when they're all together? Is get stadiums and get events and get them all in together. It's a really sinister thing. I've noticed an abundance of blitzed amphitheatres in antiquity, like they've been hit directly. And I kind of feeling it is for a reason. There's something really going on with them. And gatherings of large amounts of people. You know the buzz in a crowd. It is
right.
is a real feeling. You know the buzz on a Mexican wave. When you all do that,
oh yeah,
everybody is one. Everybody is just wow.
Interestingly enough, I had put a song for Josh to play coming back from next break. Randy Rhoads, one of my favorite guitarists of all time, his birthday was yesterday. And I can still remember when I was like 13, 14, seeing Ozzy live, Randy Rhoads on guitar. And when Ozzy came out, just the way he started talking to the crowd, wanting everybody to put their hands up, I felt like everything in me was rebelling. Don't put your hand up. Don't become part of this. It was like something in me was telling me this is not a good thing. Don't do what this guy is saying. Even though I love the music, I love the guitar. That's what got me playing guitar was Randy. There was this feeling like this is something not right. There's something wrong in this crowd going on, and now it's trying to suck me into it. I can remember fighting that feeling. Of course, I'm a huge metalhead and love it and bang my head along with the rest. So,
sure. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that exactly. I've had it myself, exactly the same feeling. I had it at the last U2 concert I went to when he literally had a phone call with the devil. He played this alter ego called Mr. Machismo, who was the devil. And he's like literally having a phone call. He brought Lou Reed in on a screen live from apparently satellite, but it was a recording because you could tell because it was out of sync of Lou Reed before he died talking on a screen to Bono, who's playing the devil. It was like, and I'm looking around at all the crowds and all that, and they're all really into it. And I'm thinking, are they for real? Are they doing this? They're like, even in symbolic terms, this is really dark, and I really, really had a bad feeling. And, there was a good part, like 80,000 people in that stadium at that time, and all just on the edge of this. It's like I said, guys, the greatest deception the devil ever played was getting everyone to worship him and not really know it. Christmas is coming, people are doing pagan rituals, not really knowing what they're practicing, not really knowing what they're doing or saying even. They don't understand the language and the way it's been placed for us to accidentally stumble upon these things through our wording as well. It's just everything is just planned out by clever people. Or if I say people, you don't really know what's going on.
Right.
It's definitely spiritual, that's for sure.
And it's definitely been a fight with my significant other and I as I awaken to some of the hidden pagan history of all the holidays and trying not to put my energy into it as much. I mean, I used to be, oh man, Halloween was my Christmas, and now I don't even want it to happen around me. So, and then the whole fight over the tree and Saturnalia and the whole 9 yards. But I will say I have really been intrigued with Norb's little idea of the tree of life being at the center of the plane and the North Star, Polaris, being at the top of that tree of life. And then when all the planets do their alignment thing, there's all the balls on the tree of life. It's pretty crazy. It looks like a damn Christmas tree.
Yeah, I've seen it. I was there at the convention when he actually sort of brought this model out. I just presented, it took me best part of 10 hours, the greatest story never told, when I think, or I overwhelmingly prove what this place is. It's encoded in our reality. We could see it everywhere. I can see it in my room right now. And it's a double torus with a dielectric inertial flat plane between, and it's encoded in everything. Now, coming into the North Pole, okay, I feel that there's a artificial object there, or a pyramid, an upside down pyramid like Babylonian texts and multiple text states. which creates the North Pole. Okay, and the South Pole is not 50,000 kilometers somewhere behind Australia, behind some ice wall, because I don't think the magnetic field will stretch out far anyway, and we're not going on these stupid globe terms. So what I believe is a double-sided, or one pyramid and another pyramid below it, okay, but it's an upside-down pyramid, okay, and another upside-down pyramid below it, below ground level, which creates the South Pole, okay. Now this bends around under our plane, okay, and the other torus bends over the plane. Now, I presented the model, and I've proved or shown that right through all of antiquity and every level of society, they encode the model. It's this on my hand here, if you can see that. So it's the inertial flat plane, and you got what it is. It's based on the 4 angels. So it's encoded in the Bible. Tesla based his Tesla engine on exactly the same model. So it's 4 angels. It's a 10 vortex system, and you have 4 angels on each corner, like on the square and stationary Earth map. And what they do is they drive
Ferguson, I think. Is that it?
Ferguson they're levitating. Yeah. So they pulls them onto the one magnet, onto the next magnet, which is at the next corner, if you like, and then onto the next. And then the magnetic pull of the North Pole, artificial pyramid on the Mount Meru, will pull it back in, dictating our seasons, and then it's dragged back out, all by electromagnetics, because it's an electromagnetic universe, as you know. So that is what I propose. And I've proposed it, and I'm not finished with it. I've got the Greatest Story Never Told Part 3 happening in the background. I'm trying to work on it, and everything's trying to be sorted. It's just so much work. The last one, I did a synopsis. That was 5.5 hours trying to... I've just started right down from the basics. I'm built up as above, so below. From the structure, the fractal structure of this universe, and then bursting its way out all the way, and it's based on basically, if you know the Russian dolls mystery, everything smaller fits into something smaller, something smaller, and outwardly the same. But the whole of our reality is based on the same principle, and it proves in my mind beyond a shadow of a doubt that they know what this place is. It's encoded in our reality, and it's a double torus with an inertial flat plane, which we're living on, in the middle. But that doesn't say that there's not more. I believe there's more in here with us, and I believe there's more outside, as in above and below as well, is what I believe. There's a lot more. This place is big, okay? But our bit is an electromagnetic bit, okay? Very much like the structure of an atom, okay? In fact, exactly. If you're going to go infinitely as far as we can go, and sort of prove, I don't go with anything subatomic or anything on the quark, anything undistinguishable. We don't go there because that's them. So we just play with the idea of an atom, okay? And that is the exact same structure as what we're looking at here, this double torus field, which when it folds in and it goes down the North Pole hole, okay, it becomes electrified. And electrified light is actually laser light that goes green. So we're looking at the northern lights being a magnetized light, which is coming out of the North Pole hole, and it bursts out in this manner, like an apple, out of the North Pole hole. It comes round and down and under our inertial flat plane. So that is what I present in the Great Story Never Told, which is one of the hardest things I've ever had to undertake in my adult life. But I got it out. It was hard to explain, but I had to cover every single aspect of this model, so as to A, not be able to have it debunked by any globe-tad or try, and to make it beyond shadow of doubt. If you follow the whole series, by the end, when the World Cup lifted, real, then you know that it is encoded, and you'll see it everywhere. You won't be able to unsee it, and you'll know that this place is true.
Awesome. Hey, Martin, we're going to hit a break now for into the first hour. So we're joined by Martin Liedtke right here on the Ironworx.
And regulation is becoming an ever-growing.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble gum.
Oh, that is impressive. Good call, Walt. We needed that.
Happy birthday, Randy Rhoads, for sure. We're here with Martin Liedtke. Martin, there's something, I just recently watched this movie called Downsizing. Have you checked that out? I'm sure I'm way catching up. It's been out a while now.
Yeah.
As this was being, the idea of shrinking and it was being sold to this guy, you know, all the monetary gain and all the money changing up, making you a millionaire. I could just see him selling people on this idea. And then it suddenly was like, okay, well, let's think this through. Boom. Now we can explain, you know, we all got tricked into being shrunk. That explains why we can see way further. The Earth's way bigger than we thought it was. We're all little tiny things. And then you start showing these pictures of these parades and they're carrying castles and there's little people on the little castles. And I mean, it's just pretty crazy, all the different giant stuff we keep finding and all the miniature stuff we keep finding, as if there have been so many different sizes of beings on this plane over time.
I seen it last night in a depiction, some sort of woman out of antiquity wearing like literally a city on her head, and I suggested it on my blog. I've seen loads of these depictions where these really large people are carrying like sort of castles or buildings on giant sticks, and I was thinking, are they just placing these down and they're done? But yeah, why is the architecture so ridiculously huge? And the doorways, why do they really need to be 30 meters in the air arches on all government buildings everywhere on Earth? Is just really strange. Were we bigger? I haven't actually thought of that, what you just said. It's absolutely awesome.
Good. Maybe I'll send you off in a different direction for a minute.
Yeah. all of us have just shrunk down, and this is why we're all out of the frame of reference of it all. Man, that is so
the math
awesome.
doesn't work anymore. All of that, right?
It's one of those things I love about what you do, Martin, is your live research, the things you do live as you broadcast. So it's all out there for everybody to see. So it's not this contrived. You're not sort of pulling things from other researchers to compile a video to bring to other people. You're just doing this right there live in front of people, and that's just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely awesome. Like we discover real time, but like I'm not going to get entrenched, and I'm willing to shift on an idea, and I'll always say that. I won't say this is the way it is. I'm never going to say that with anything. I can't, because we don't know. We can't prove anything in this place. This is the weird thing about it all. But the little tidbits and the bit of the puzzle pieces that do fall into place, we can go with, which are very few and far between. We'll go with, but that's what I'm willing to do, is shift on new discoveries. If we can find some proof, or beyond a shadow of a doubt proof, that that's happening, then I'll run with that. But yeah, it's that's the beauty of it. We're not going to get entrenched, and that way it's always forward. It's always forward thinking. It's always progressive. It's not going to be entrenched. They want you entrenched. They want you chasing your tail and never getting an answer on ridiculous notions. This is what they want. They will lead people to do this, to chase their tails and never get an answer. But that doesn't work here. Not flat-head British. We're always forward, and we just break through that.
The non-existent stories, Martin, are a good example of that, how they'll set up a completely bullshit. They'll throw a couple of bones at it to give it some validity and then spec you off to waste your life.
All the time on the internet. You see them all the time. These little weird things turn up, and then you get like a million people running off and believing it's a reality, and you're like, what, really? You think that's happening? It's just, I can't even believe people run with some of these notions. You can clearly see it's a dialectic. Something like Q, for example. The instant I heard of that, I thought, well, that's obviously a government dialectic to play people, isn't it? Obviously there's not a cyber messiah going to save humanity. That's just nuts. So, but, millions will run with it as a actual reality, the same as they do with Mandela. I've never been personally affected. I've seen things are changing real time in history. I've caught that. As in, I've done something or discovered something, and then later, when I've checked the source for it all, the narrative in the history has changed. That is really strange, and that's happened a few times, and people have reported it back to me that it's happened to them too, from things that have been pulled out on my channel. So I think there has been real-time changes.
It has. It happened to me early in Flat Earth. I remember a photograph of Earth Pond number 1, Earth Pond 1. I saw that photograph. I had that photograph. It was the image of, imagine the Kobayashi map with all the outlying lands put into the space of...
Yeah, I got it. And you got a separate ponds.
Right. But the photograph, this was an actual supposed aerial photograph of it. I had that, and I can't find it. I remember that early on thinking, well, this is it. That's what we're in. Had the photograph. It was it was green. You could see this was a real photograph. Boom, it's gone. Never can find it. Can't find it anywhere online. Can't find it in my stuff. This was before I knew about taking things offline onto a hard drive.
Exactly the same. Something got missing early on in Flat Earth. I was watching, when I first got into it, a video with Neil, the one that just died, Hawking, with Arthur C. Clarke, the initiator of the apparent satellite, and Cosmos guy Sagan. And the three of them are having an interview, and literally, and I'm not joking here, right, Hawking says to Carl Sagan, who goes white as a sheet, by the way, but the Earth's flat, right? And at that time, I was only a couple of months into Flat Earth. I didn't even know how to grab a video, right?
Right.
And I have there's about 4 or 5 different versions an hour long on the internet when I've played every one of them and they've taken it out.
I bet you Zach is bouncing up and down right now.
Yes, he is. I can feel it.
I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. I thought, oh my God. But at that stage, I was about 3 months into it. I had no way to get that apart from showing it on my phone. To be able to present it, and when I went to when I got learned my tech a bit better, and I went to look for it. It was gone, and I can't.
Luckily, Josh is on top of things sometimes, and he, I think, caught that same soundbite a long time back, saved it. Luckily, it's a little different. It's probably hard to understand some of it, but
yeah, I think I have it. I think here, this one. Just to clear up any confusion.
Right, if you don't understand that, I don't know.
Sounds possessed.
Clearly says it's flat.
Flat, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
What do you think of what Neil deGrasse Tyson said on the video this week that's been flying around the community when he's a few years back and he's talking about Felix jumping from the balloon and he's saying, look, they added that curvature through the cameras, through a fisheye lens. That stuff's flat. Did you see that video? Russian vids put it out as well.
I have not watched the full video. I didn't know that's where it was heading. That's amazing. I know Karen B just put something up.
It might be another one of those you got to take in a full context, but he is. It's before all like Flat Earth come along, I suppose. Felix wanted just before, but he's saying, yeah, they added a fisheye lens, but he's got a globe in his hand, and he's saying that Felix was a millimeter above it. And then he's stating that you can't see the curvature a millimeter above. They've added a fisheye lens. They've added the curvature. And he went, that's flat. And he goes like that as well with his hand. So
awesome. That's amazing.
And now he's been done up on all these, these nefarious charges. I'm wondering if that's the situation. That
the fourth one has come out. Apparently the fourth lady has come out. So, maybe he's about to get roasted because he's let too much slip.
Exactly. And he keeps playing, when you're
like Elon, the same thing with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is getting like the
roasting.
Bad PR smear. I mean, first he started talking about pedo stuff, with that rescue crap, and then all his little comments about a car that runs on air and using this new engine to travel to Mars and the moon and other places on Earth, and like, okay, huh?
Somebody passed me a link this morning saying the motor cars actually only use fuel for ignition and they work on compressed air. The same as plane sort of scenario.
Right. Have you looked into that whole north and south being up and downhill? That same guy with the planes, I can't remember. A Plane Truth, is that who it is? I may be seeing the wrong channel. I may be wrong.
I know of the guy, but I haven't really been following it. I've been more doing myself.
See, I'm so deep down the mud flood hole. That's pretty much where I've been trying to play catch up with you because you've got years of stuff for me to dig in, man. Oh, my goodness.
I still, keep an eye on what I need to see, but I don't follow so much. With the flat Earth thing, is pull in their mistakes, which are obvious, and you can't really, unless there's exploration, do any more. So I thought because, like in the interim period, I'm not willing to sit down and wait or make stuff up, so I will try and unveil a deeper truth. History was the only thing I could think.
As I've gone down this hole with you and dug through this and kind of noticed it around my own cities here and seen the churches half buried at an angle that makes no sense, the weird ironwork on top, these feelings I get when I'm walking through the cemetery and next to these iron gates. It's really almost feeling like Flat Earth may have been the distraction they were using to try to keep us from seeing this hidden history thing.
Yeah, and I think of it all the time. There's a deeper truth going on, that's for sure, guys. That's for sure. It is a giant puzzle, and it's like a three-dimensional game of chess. It's just, I can't even put it into words. But whatever we're dealing with is just so intelligent, and there's a feeling to it, guys, and it's not nice. This whole narrative that is being, like, it could be like a roll-up. I feel it's a roll-up, guys, because there's information coming my way, like left, right, and centre, which is changing the historical paradigm and smashing it. And not only that, there's this like abundance of like altered photography which is coming my way, where either, first of all, I do like sort of indirectly, through that with the atlases, atmospheric electricity, and then suddenly I find a lot of photographs which have got an abundance of them. And they look like they're being like sort of penciled in, and I'm thinking, suddenly they want me to see this beyond a shadow of a doubt and not miss it and publish it. Alright, that's a bit spooky. And then I see things altered in the background, blacked up, added symbols. You know, they're adding and painting people in cities in this certain era, in the Victorian era. I found really, really weird and sinister. Now, I can understand that they might pencil them out because they're faded, but not really, because people don't pick up unless they're really still in this period. They don't pick up emotion. They ghost. You just see a fuzzy mark. They've got to stay put for maybe 30 seconds at this period with the vast plate technique. Yet, in these same pictures of Thompson, for example, 3 days back that I posted, you see cards. Well, they wouldn't pick up on this period. So they're added beyond a shadow of a doubt, and they look added. So why are they adding people to make it look like these cities are populated? And they're not very populated. They're village population in cities that should have, hundreds of thousands of people. It's really, really odd. And then with this thing with the orphans, wow, that is just too much, man. It just really gets under your skin. But talking about it is quite liberating. I've got to be honest. It's like lost voices from long ago. Help us. It's just really, really weird. But trains.
It's actually the thing that's gotten my girlfriend, who doesn't really dig into deep things with me. She just kind of wants to do the job and get on with life, and whatever I find is fine with her. This whole orphan train thing has really keyed into her, because a lot of them were sent here to South Louisiana, and that's where a lot of the, here these air quotes, slave trade and all that happened here.
People to care. A kick in the teeth with a human thing like that will get people to sit up and notice, and it has got people to sit up and notice. It has. But, the weird thing, how it all clicked together, I realised that I was born in a workhouse, a previous workhouse, which was an orphanage. And then 2 or 3 of my subs come forward and said, that's weird, we were born in a mud-flooded, old world workhouse, which was an orphanage. And I started to dig in. And then I found the story, and I thought, oh my God, and there's no real old. All the people that are in these photographs of this period, they would have been young or introduced themselves following the earlier events of 1800s, the 1811 through to 1816. And then all of these children turn up, and there's no parents. So the parents are all being purged. They introduce these new children, they stick them in one-room schoolrooms where they brainwash them with globe thinking and the rest of it, evolutionary theory. And then you get the 1900 mark and they introduce the world through the great expositions. It's all in situ, all ready to spin the next narrative, the next history. Nothing new under the sun. They slip these things out, like you said, with Tesla. No, man. He's from Serbia. The stuff was all over Serbia. It was really active in antiquity. He just reversed engineered what he was seeing and what was dismantled at the period when he brought it out. Between 1895 and 1900, it was gone, plain white, just in time for Edison. Because, like you say, if you've got, free energy, where are you going to put the meter? Now, that poses a question. They got free energy, they've had it all along. So what are the wind turbines doing? Burning off excess electric? What are they doing with fracking? If they don't need fuel, they don't need energy, they got it. I can guarantee it, okay? I know how this shit works. They have it. So fracking, why are they pouring some sort of solution below ground level? That is really sinister. I'm struggling with whether it's the idea of some sort of electrolyte to participate a electrical arcing event. Now, I found another mind-blowing document last night, Adam. I don't know whether you've seen it. It was passed to me, blew my socks off. It was said it was a true story of events in Riga, in Latvia, and in just outside of Danzig in Germany in 1650s. And it's described as a cannon in the sky, coffins in the sky, double-headed monster in the sky that stayed above the city for 48 hours, spewing plasma, lightning, which destroyed everything, killing many. So you can't surmise if it's a comet that it's not moving, because this thing's in situ, it's not moving, and the descriptions are the same as what I've presented on my channel for these anomalous things that they call comets. Okay, now it can't be more than a coincidence that every time one of these resets happen, there's a calendar shift and a comet goes over. Now 1811 through to 1816, 1811, a comet shows up, Napoleon's comet. All of these events, these volcanoes have participated. It comes very close, splits off into two.
Do you think they are actually comets, or do you think it's kind of...
no, I think it's something out of our frame of reference, control attack. Yeah.
Control attack,
it's shot, I believe, like parallel across that plane, coming maybe from over the ice, off pond somewhere, or maybe north, I don't know. But they seem to be coming from the trajectory of the one that wiped out the Arthurian one. But I don't go with that chronology. But I'm just saying, for an example, all of the comets that I've traced, even the 1811, seem to have come from the area below South America, so looking from a southerly direction, or the outward ring. And then they seem to come in, they break off, they go in different directions. When you study comets, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's nothing, they're not like orbiting diddly, okay? Because I've got scientific studies which will prove some of these things are tubular. You can look up them. They seem to have machinery inside, and countless depictions of these things being artificial. Now, when they come close, their tails are made of plasma, and they sort of skip. They used to collect energy off, and they were that common. And every time one come over, they had diseases, people going nuts, and a calendar reset, like the 1609 one, where we had a giant tsunami. Apparently took a generation to heal in Britain. In this area, it was apparently killed many, many thousands. At exactly the same year, they have a calendar shift. They shift from the Juliana to Gregorian. Which is really weird, because the royal family and the Freemasons, they stuck with Juliana for some reason. That's why the Queen has two birthdays, one Juliana and one on the Gregorian. So they had a shift there, so there's no accident. They have a comet, a reset, and a shift all at the same time. So these you can safely say are sort of what I feel is outside of these big resets, like the Noah one. I think there's these mini ones, and I think they're recurring. I think they just like sort of urgent little keeper.
Can I just quiz you on that? Because you hit the point there. Obviously, there's the Noah reset, and we're talking mud floods, and if we're talking, whether it's the last one or two, obviously you'd put the Noah flood down to a biblical act of God, whatever. When we're looking at these, do you think they are the controllers are acting opportunistically with natural events, or is it just straightforward technology that's bringing about these events?
The way I experience it is they are completely apathetic and bored. There's a thing called, a depiction called melancholia. When you see one of these angel controllers, and she's sat near a Pythagoras bowl, it's actually a nine-sided cube, so it's a reference to this place again. And there's an hourglass behind her, and the alchemical word puzzle, which is a countdown to D-Day, to Judgment Day, and it's all symbolic, and a comet in the background. She's sitting there like that, bored, knowing, because I believe like they're devoid of time, so it doesn't really matter in the same way as it does for us in this really short time, in this limited sensory experience. And she's like that, and just watching it come. So, and you see with all of the controllers, they're not bugged by anything that happens down here. It seems that they're separate, but they watch all, is what I would say. That would be the all-seeing eye. And they do interact with people on this plane. You see it constantly in these depictions. You see a hand coming up with a cloud, the Masonic handshake, the swapping of technology, giving them goods for technology, gold, etc. Yeah, it's just an exchange for tech. And it seems to be coming from outside of our experience, is what I would say. Where they are, I couldn't even say. Above, maybe. Above the dome, I'm thinking. Seems to be some evidence for that. With, Zeus up on top of the mountain looking down on you, it all seems to be from above with them. Doesn't it? With all of the different theologies, there seems to be some sort of realm up there, heaven, even Babylonian, Hindu, all of it. Seems that there's some realm up there. The people that live forever. So I feel that there's something like that going on, and the depictions definitely paint this. It's really sinister as a feeling, and they're all over the architecture, and you recognise them. It's almost as if they're one family, or, well, not one nationality, one family. They all got a similar feature to them. They're plump, they're good looking, they're really physical humanity, but there's something odd about them. They're out of shape, they're not like us, they're weird. And if they say like the God, is us, a mirror image of God on this place, then I'm feeling, looking at them, is that what is happening here? Are we just in the gene pool chucked in as an experiment? We don't know the level this goes to. It's just so weird. But yeah, there's loads of ideas out there, but yeah, it is sinister. But
well, Martin, we're sneaking up on another break.
Yeah,
let everybody know where to find you one more time.
Yeah, Flat Earth British, YouTube. Please come, subscribe, and don't miss the juice that's coming out this holiday season. There's something really cool being explained to you all this holiday season. Nobody on Earth actually knows. And when you know,
no hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
It's Friday, my dudes.
Good morning. I'm here.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school. You're dead.
Dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe that dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
So what one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard, to think really hard, to think really hard, to think really hard.
And welcome back.
Brilliant. Welcome back to the Ironworx. Walt here, that's Josh. We are joined today as well by That Adam and our guest, Martin Liedtke, Flat Earth British mud flood investigator extraordinaire. So we got about 30 minutes left, Martin. What would be, like, how do you want to wrap this thing up? I know there's no wrapping it up. It's an endless tapestry.
How to avoid official government narratives. Just do the opposite of anything they say. So today they're saying, this new theory explains why 95% of the universe is missing. Well, I could answer that right now. It's missing because it's not there. And this next narrative is how to avoid Antarctica at all costs. So basically, don't listen to anything about Antarctica because it is misnomer. Adolf Hitler, Black Boots, Nazi leader, organised secret missions after World War II to Antarctica, like we all don't know. So that's spam today on my Google feed, and China is going to the dark side of the moon. No, they're not. They lie so much. The news today, flat Earth British. Done.
Guys, I'm gonna have to do one. I've extended the levels of kindness from the girls. It's getting a bit busy in there. Martin, thanks for turning up, mate. And before I do go, I love it. You are a very modest man, and I think we need to make sure we give a shout out. But Martin does a lot of great work, guys, and any help anybody can give him is. Can you name your other accounts as well as just your YouTube? You got Patreon and.
Yeah, I got Patreon, PayPal. I usually link them up, so thanks for that. Yeah, mate.
Yeah, give Martin bigs up. He's out there. It's the sort of people that, we do need to help and support, because Martin's doing this all on his own. And since he lost his yacht and his millions in the city of London, it's got a bit harder. To shout out to Martin and anyone that can give the lad some help, and hopefully he'll keep dropping more truth bombs on us like we've had.
Oh, I've got truth bomb ready. Just, it's timing, really. I've got to be gentle. I can't really shift paradigms, like just take it for granted that everything's going to be okay when you do something like that. It's not, because there's like a psychological impact on people. So I have to just do it really gently, and that's what I will do, to be caring.
Pardon, shank me. Mate, it's been a pleasure, guys. I love you all, and I'll keep listening.
Thank you, Adam. Tell the ladies thanks as well.
Yeah,
as well.
Talk to you this afternoon. Yeah, I'd like to love to be able to promote some awesome flat Earth watches that you have on eBay.
God,
I can't.
No.
I just got to get it. I got to get on the post office later.
They disappeared. There are some amazing glow-in-the-dark pins, though, so go check those out.
Yeah,
they make amazing stocking stuffers.
Martin,
God,
I'm
so pleased that I don't have to go through that Christmas brainwashing thing that I used to have to go through. Until this year, it's the first time maybe in 30 years that
we're on commercial radio. We just soon use the weapon they gave us.
It's just women. They're really, really big on Christmas for some reason. They think everything depends on it. Have you heard these conversations out there? People are going to pieces over whether or not they got their presents. I'm like,
I know.
They chuck that in the middle of the winter season, right in the middle of winter, when everyone's, most run down and money's at its least, and they know this, so they chuck this holiday straight in the middle of it all, just to make everything a lot worse, which it does, because people never recover after it. People
it becomes this whole game of everybody has to have a present, even somebody you haven't seen in 15 years, and I don't know, it just gets ridiculous. If a present doesn't mean anything, then what are you doing? You're just throwing plastic back and forth at each other that has no meaning, no emotion, nothing to it. I'd rather somebody sit down and paint me a picture or write me a song or sing me something. That came from the heart and meant something. Some crap you found on sale on Black Friday that you got brainwashed into going beat somebody down to get at a cost they already jacked up to give you a half price off. Don't get me started. We don't have time for a walk.
Right. Possessions don't mean nothing to me really either. I got prized possessions and that, but I just found that it means nothing at the end because you leave absolutely everything behind. And you come in the world with nothing. It's just what you make of it while you're here. So possessions are not really all that. And as you say, I prefer human, heartfelt, instead of just necessity doing it because they feel that they need to. It's just nothing in it. It's empty thought and empty feeling. So, yeah, if it's like you say, a homemade card. I had a card come off a sub 2 days ago from Germany. It was only a card, but I was absolutely buzzing. I thought, what a lovely thought. Oh, it's German. Really nice. Sort of thing. So, yeah, it's nice little thoughts like that. To be honest, right, though, guys, when things are really heavy in life and you feel, oh Christ, what is this place? This is just, brutal. And it only takes that little word off a stranger, one sentence, they'll make click of a thing and everything okay. You know, it's really, really strange. You know, maybe a crossword on a bus stop of an individual, or say something, and it'll be like, it'll snap you out of it, and you'll think, yeah, you know, it's those little things I'm saying, guys, that mean something in this place, not the false gestures forced on us by them.
Well, I heard a conversation earlier this week. They were going on about kids and Santa Claus, and the conversation as to when or if you tell them, you know, spoiler alert, that Santa Claus is not real. And one of the big arguments I've heard it made as to why was you don't want to spoil that magic of Christmas.
No, it never happened for me.
Well, it sort of sent off some bells in my head, and I got to thinking about all these movies.
If your parents are lying to you about that, you know, think about it, and they're willing to paint this artificial life, knowing it's not true to a child, you have a little think about that. You know, what kind of mindset is everybody on? Well, I tell you, they're hardwired, and all this is socially engineered anyway. It really bugs me. My family weren't like that. I was lucky. You know, we never had the illusion of Santa Claus. We knew straight off that it was all just, you know, fantasy. There's no fat bloke coming down my chimney because we got a gas fire in the way and you never get past it, you see. So I was a smart kid. So I worked that out right off. Plus the hole's about that big, you know. I don't care who you are, fat, so get that radio off my roof.
Right, we didn't even have a chimney, so I'm like, what's he going, under the door? How's this dude getting in here?
I even said that. I even, when I was really little, thinking, well, is he coming through the radiators? So, you know, as a kid. And anyway, my family were open about things like that. You know, they just didn't, like, paint an artificial life. I had another sort of upbringing. I was always at sea anyway with people that had other ideas about life, you know, not the socially engineered people. People I grew up around were awake people. They really were. They were Estonians. They were seamen. They knew they'd had a hard life in World War II, so they knew how bad this place can be, especially my old man. You know, he was, just under 3 years in the trenches in the Mannerheim front in World War II. And he lost his brother, my uncle Oscar. I got a plaque on the wall of Field Marshal Mannerheim that he gave to my grandmother. So these people were like personally affected by massive, you know, things we can't even imagine really. Can we, guys? That sort of thing. So they were tough as well. It was just a completely different mindset, the people I grew up around. It really, really was. And everyone now seems to be superficial, plastic paradise, wishy-washy, no fibre reality, which is very, very temporary. Have you noticed? All they build now is made of prefab, concrete blocks, glass, and metal. And the only way I can presume is that the last reset, all the stuff's still here and people have noticed and they've started to ask questions. So anything built probably since around the 50s, when they got rid of all that old stuff, like all them large areas of every American city, like Hell's Kitchen and the Bronx, and all these areas just got flattened and redeveloped, and every American city, and British, same happened in my city. They knocked down the local Tiger Bay and put blocks of flats up. Nothing wrong with it, just a certain type of architecture. They were all mud flooders. So the new architecture would be easy to cover up after a reset. I mean, there would be hardly anything left of this civilization, but what would be left is them old civic buildings. The old world would still be left, but the stuff we build now would be gone. So hardly any trace of this one would be left. Buildings, they basically entropy kicks into these steel and glass buildings quick. I'm talking a generation. There wouldn't be much left if they weren't maintained. You know, they just bolts rust in the rain, they fall apart, the whole thing just falls down. This happens, and it don't take long, especially with no shell. So this place is built temporary, which is another alarm call to how these people think. And it is this empathy. You've got to think, guys, you know, the psychopathic nature of our rulers, you know, our powers that should not be. They whole places went for psychopathical means, like John Lennon once said, and it is true. They don't give a stuff about the people. 100 years ago in this country, they sent 1 million young men to their death in the trenches of the First World War. 1 million men on this one small island is massive, and that altered everything. You know, so they can do that. They can order you to go. If you don't go, you go to jail, get kicked in, and have corporal punishment, and your life will be miserable. You won't even want to live because everyone will be abusing you when you're out anyway, because we brainwashed them to hate you as a coward. No conscientious object as much in the First World War. It was not done. So this is what we got as a legacy. It's just scary stuff, people. That they can click their fingers. You've got to go. You've got to go and be eaten by rats and belong to smithereens because we said so. Yeah, it doesn't matter about the realm, queen and country. It's nothing to do with that. It's about banks and money and borders and keeping our eye off the game. Because everyone was exploring this place until the First World War, and all was stopped. Yeah, we had all of them expeditions out north. You had the Franklin expedition looking for the Northwest Passage, trying to find northern lands. Everything stopped around that period. No exploration. So that was handy too. And we're getting rid of Antiquitech. What we'll do is we'll carpet bomb everywhere, all them cities full of people. So why are we killing people? We're not really, but they're there. We don't care. We're getting rid of the old world, the architecture. And that's what's going on. First World War, every ancient Stafford system in northern France was hit. Showed you last night on my vlogs. Mons, Arras, Ypres, and all of these famous names you heard about in the First World War were giant Stafford systems, like the best. And they were centred, I believe, in the First World War. Why would you have the trench system 800 miles long from just there on all of these ancient Stafford systems? Just there. Why? And twice. 2 World Wars. Second World War II. What was called the Phony War, where we aligned the same trenches left over from the First World War, but no war happens. There's like, for the first year, we just look at one another, waving over the trenches, and apparently having games of cards at night. So there was no war. The only war was at sea, and the only people getting killed were merchant seamen. 60,000 or up to 80,000. More merchant seamen died than most servicemen at that stage. There was no theatres of war at that stage, is what I'm saying. Until about 1940, when it all started, or 41, till it all started actually to kick off. The first 2 years, there was nothing happening. This whole war is psyop. We're not there. You know, my grandfather was in the RAF. I haven't got my father's, idea of what it was like, but my grandfather was in the RAF for 5 years, and his most scary experience in 5 theatres of war, right, including D-Day, his most scariest experience was being on sentry duty in a cemetery. He said he crapped himself all night long in that cemetery. So that was his most scariest experience in World War II. Think about that. Yeah, in 5 theatres of war, and that is it. So I don't think something definitely different. We only got pictures, we see old pate newsreels, and we get the official narrative. We can't possibly know what really went on. This island, where I am now, not completely unaffected. We got bombed, but the story of that is really weird too. You know, random bombs landing on our local cathedral out of the blue on 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. What? A mine from the sky? Blow up our cathedral? It's like, are you sure that's Germans? So yeah, I think there's a lot to do with the wars and covering up of that.
Really? That recent? That's amazing.
So that's definitely a part of it. This dismantling of an old world technology, which is super futuristic. Yes.
Well, that's kind of what we're seeing over in the Middle East for sure, with all these sackings of the museums and all these things happening with, these crazy radicals.
Yeah.
I think that's just the bullshit narrative they're giving us. Yep.
So the Sumerian stuff, they're very much into this for some reason, but there's a lot of suggestions of what's going on with the Sumerian stuff, but that's all tied in with anything Alexander's Stitching, and I don't buy anything of Stitching because he's 100% a Jesuit player. We know his origins and we know what his lifestyle was like. The guy was evil. So we go with his version of deciphering these rare stone tablets when the only other 3 or 4 people on Earth, a woman in a British university, give you a completely different account to what he's saying about the Anunnaki, etc. So it's only Zachariah Sitchin on Earth that gives you the narrative of what the Sumerian tablets are actually saying. Other people disagree. I don't buy him. I don't buy him at all. And obviously he's thinking on heliocentric terms.
Even before Flat Earth, as I read those books, being a huge UFO nut, I had trouble with, okay, here's these people who allegedly can alter us genetically, but they're still traveling around in our 1950s technology. Why would they have rocket platforms? Why would they need rockets? If they have this advanced technology, wouldn't they be hovering around in disc ships and light craft and things like that? They wouldn't be using frickin' rockets. That's what we were using in the 40s and 50s.
Oh man, it's just ridiculous. They would definitely have maglev. They were levitating anyway. I showed this last night, and the technology is not as complex as you might think. Wave cancellation, it's really not. And follow the greatest story never told and explain how wave cancellation is carried out. It's a really simple process, and it literally things will levitate. This guy who built the Liedtke, I can't pronounce his name, but he built Coral Castle with a strange device which managed to levitate stone into place. So they definitely can levitate. In the past, I think they're still doing it. I think that's how a lot of these structures were put in situ, these large, massive megaliths. I don't think they were some sort of a liquid poured in place or some geopolymer. I think they were basically levitated into place with technology. This place is resonating anyway. All you've got to do is hit it with the right resonance. You can either destroy an object with the right resonance, you can amplify it or double it, which is why when you have a speaker, they'll have the same sort of frequency in the speaker would, which doubles the amplitude of the speaker, the strength of the speaker. So they know this, but you can cancel the wave as well, which will make things hover in air. Okay, so they're doing this.
Edward Leeds Scalin, something like that.
Scalar. Are you talking scalar waves?
Scanlon, I think is...
Scanlon, is that his name?
Leeds-Scanlon, yeah, him.
That's it.
You know, the guy was only like 5 foot. He wasn't lifting anything. Coral's heavy. So he had a box, he kicked everyone out at night. He was on the top of a gantry, and he's lifting these, 20-ton blocks himself at night.
A couple of kids.
I told you what he had. He wrote a book on magnetism. I've got it. That Liedtke.
And the link for reverse magnetism is now a dead link. It's not a clickable link anymore.
No, they will get rid of that.
That's amazing. It's red and dead.
It's all up there, the information. I've got about 3 or 4 books. There's one by Ken Wheeler on magnetism, talks about the Ferrous cell, etc. And it's just mind-blowing stuff. It's beyond me to be able to produce myself, but the technology is certainly there to produce these free energy devices. I've got 4 neodymium magnets here. If placed in the right way, I can drive something around these 4 neodymium magnets, and it will drive perpetually without any power or electricity on a magnetic field. Exactly the same principle as a Tesla engine and the place where we live, which I believe light drives the luminaries. So magnetism is a biggie. That's why they call magic. Magic is another word for magnetism. Magnetism, years ago, or in the past, was akin to magic. So things floating, things levitating, or things they thought was magic is just technology. That's what I mean. Advanced technology, out of our frame of reference, is akin to magic. You see something, or you interpret something, you catch something in the corner of your eye that shouldn't have been in this reality. I think all of us have had that at some stage. And then you know, okay, that this realm is nothing like they are telling us.
No, some of us deal with that on a deeper level as well, so we need to have a whole discussion about that sometime, my friend.
Yeah, dreaming is another one. I'm a big
dreamer.
Yes,
it is, my friend. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that's a player. Somebody proposed this to me, and why I've never really thought it in 50 years of my life, just beyond me, but we sleep a quarter of our lives, but why is there the need to automatically shut down our body at night and just lay there and shut off, like switching the computer off, and we're just laying there, and then we go into this place, this world that is, in my case, as real or more real than this one, and then you come back, and then you set again. Now, why is there a need for a quarter of your life to shut down the mechanism? Because they say, well, the body needs sleep, you get tired, you can't think properly. Maybe the case, I'm not sure, but isn't it strange how we sleep a quarter of our lives away? Is there some sort of download.
Evolutionarily speaking, it's the worst time to do it. Why would a human become completely vulnerable at the most vulnerable time of day for them to do it?
When you can get eaten. There's, they say, if you study like the Middle Ages, I got this Tudor book, and sleep wasn't practiced the same way in the Tudor period. They did it in two periods. They had small sleep, what they called little sleep, and big sleep. So the idea was in the Tudor period, if it exists, or back in the past, was they go asleep between, say, 11 and 2, okay, and the little sleep, and they get up and they cook food, whatever, make love, do family stuff, and then they would go back to sleep around 6, okay, and they get up at 9. So that was the big sleep.
See, my naps are supposed to be happening.
So they separate the day into two, the night into two, little sleep, big sleep. And they conducted their lives and managed, I suppose, but that was always carried out. And that still sort of makes sense in a way. But I didn't go to bed till about 5 this morning, but my mind was active. I can't really shut it down the same as other people.
Never ever, my friend. I'm the same way.
Yeah, can't stop thinking. But what I do is, with vlogging, I sort of write them in the night while I'm laying in my bed, sort of dreaming in a half state, and I sort of just work it all out. And I can literally go through amounts of data in my mind while I'm laying in this sort of third state, and I can like pinpoint. It's like like the film Minority Report, when he's got this map up on the wall and he can pinpoint far off. It's like that in the mind, where I can just pinpoint certain books, remember it and think, there it is. And I'll wake up and I'll find that. And I'll dig deeper as well. Boom, 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 boom. Pull it out, bam, proof. So I managed to do that in my sleep, which is really weird. It's like a download. I call it a download because these like vlogs and stuff I write in my mind, in the night. When I'm asleep, like a download. And then I wake up and I do them. And then it's just like, just mind-blowing. It's really weird. I got to think about, do you know why you just played that guitar? It was brilliant, but I thought for a second it was Jimi Hendrix putting lighter fluid on his guitar at Woodstock. And I got to think, what was he trying to interpret when he was setting his guitar alight? What was he saying to us with, Sparse Band or Ballet? And then I got to think about what he said once. I seen on a bit of a clip where he said that when he played music, he felt like that something else was playing through him.
I was thinking that when you were telling about your dreams and writing your blogs, I was thinking the same thing, musicians getting their songs like that.
Yeah, that's when I just thought it as well, exactly the same. And Beyonce said exactly the same. I seen on an interview about a year ago. She said when she went on stage, she disconnected from her humanity. Really, she's like a lazy human being, woman, normal person. And then suddenly she comes on stage and she comes along. She says she feels like something has jumped in her possession. And she does this performance. I'm wondering about all of that. Some of these musicians are just beyond belief, aren't they?
Martin, thank you so much. We're at the end here. Please tell us you'll come back and continue on sometime.
Yeah, I love to. It's one of my. I listen to all the time. It's one of the epicest shows.
Thank you, my friend.